I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 140, 3 Myths and 3 Truths About Infidelity. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Before I jump into this week's episode, which I know you will love, I know it will be very helpful to you, I just want to take a minute and shout out to those of you who have gone in and left a review on my podcast. It is so touching to me to hear from you, to hear how this podcast has helped you, how it has brought you comfort, how it has brought you direction. And I want to read one of the reviews that came in this week that was just so touching to me. Whoever you are that posted this, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to post this. The title of it is When I Was Lost, Andrea Held My Hand. She said, it has not even been 2 weeks since I confronted my husband about his 3-month-long affair. Day one, my life had been blown to bits. My emotions and mind were uncharacteristically explosive 1 second, then ultra sad and painful the next. The thought of a therapist came to mind, but that took research and I needed something immediately, almost like an ER doctor. I needed urgent care. I couldn't talk to just anyone or family members about it because it would have caused more destruction and more confusion. Day two, I said to myself, there's got to be a podcast or an audiobook about this. I had never subscribed to a podcast. I barely listened to them. I don't know exactly how it happened, but I typed in my search and the first podcast that showed up for me was Andrea's. I am so grateful for every episode she has made. I didn't start in chronological order. I found titles based on what I was feeling and on topics I needed help with at the moment. Every day, maybe twice a day, I'd find an episode and I'd find time for myself and listen and breathe. Every episode helped me find myself again, helped speak reason into my soul and life, helped me feel safe, helped. I am forever grateful for you, Andrea. My words can't eloquently express how much you have helped me. Thank you so much. There's a long journey still ahead, but I am hopeful, which is a great start. Thank you from my healing heart. Again, listener who wrote this beautiful review, thank you so much for taking the time to share that. It was very meaningful to me, and I think it will be meaningful to others who are just starting out on their path, who come across that and stick around for a while and look for help. These reviews do matter. They put it in front of people. Like when people are searching infidelity, it puts it in front of them. Like she said, it's the first one that came up. That's because many of you have gone in and left reviews. So thank you so much. If you have considered leaving a review and haven't yet, I would love it so much if you would go do that. It would mean the world to me. All right, now moving along. This episode, 3 Myths, 3 Truths About Infidelity. Let's just dive in. Myth number 1. If you've made the decision to stay or go, you should be good. You're good to go. You got your decision made. You should be able to step back into your life and feel peace. If you decide to leave, you should just feel better. You may be sad and feel some grief, but then good thing you left them behind and now you can go live your life, right? Here's why it's a myth. I see this all the time. I see people all the time that come to me and they say, for example, I've decided to stay, but I can't feel any kind of peace. It's constant chaos. I'm constantly doubting. I know I want to stay, but they're really dealing with a lot of conflicting emotions and thoughts in their mind that are making their decision to stay very doubtful in their mind, where they're really going, is this actually the right decision? And so they question it and question it and question it. I see people who are separated, who are either separated with the intent of seeing what they want, or they are separated on their way out the door. And they may have felt a little bit of peace on their way out, Like I'm out of that constant chaos, constantly feeling triggered by this person, but they are still very much rehashing, regretting how it happened, feeling really mad that it happened, all kinds of really intense emotions. I am not talking about the initial grief of the change. That's not what I'm referring to. It's after you've made the decision, you feel good about the decision, or the other person maybe made the decision for you, and you are going and living your life and putting things together and learning how to co-parent if you have children, things like that. And you still feel the weight of it every day, almost all day. Like, I cannot believe this is my life. I can speak from so much experience about this because I got divorced after my first marriage. And at first there was a relief, like some of the tension in the home did feel lighter. It did feel lighter right out the gate. But then some of the same emotional patterns that were there when I was married to him were still there. Some of my same responses to things, some of the same things I worried about, some of the same ways that I processed things. And then I started dating my current husband, and I brought with me some of the anxieties and worries, and again, ways that I thought about things and ways that I processed things into our dating experience and then into marriage number 2. And as I have gone deeper and deeper into my work as an infidelity coach, part of my job that I take very seriously is looking at the areas where I either have or have not applied the very things that I'm teaching you. And I can see how I thought that by getting divorced and then remarried, that it would be just so much better moving forward. And the reality is that some of the hard stuff that I emotionally experienced before followed me into marriage number 2. It was there. Some of the doubts and fears and worries. And as you probably know, those of you who have been around for a while, I married a widower. And she died on Valentine's Day. She would forever be fairly young and beautiful. And, and just the nature of when people pass away, we often put them on a really high pedestal. And I was there, being very human, very, very human. And it really, really messed with my head. It really messed with my head. I remember days where it felt intolerable. Like that the fear of not feeling like I was number 1 that I felt in marriage number 1 was right there in marriage number 2. And it was pretty bleak and pretty painful. And I really did think that once I decided of leaving and then of getting remarried, that I would just feel so much better. And there were areas that I did. Like I genuinely enjoyed being around my husband, things like that. But some of those fearful patterns that stayed with me because I did not know how to work with them carried right into marriage number 2. And I'll be honest here, wreaked some havoc. So here on point number 1, the myth that if you decide you're good to go, the truth that counters this, it's not about deciding. Deciding is step number 1. That's step number 1. It's about how you came to that decision. It's about how you back up that decision. It's about how you contain the doubts and worries when they come. I'm not saying if they come. I'm saying when they come. And it's about taking ownership of all of it. Of you taking ownership, of saying, this was my decision. How am I constantly pulling back from my decision or doubting my decision, questioning my decision, or that was my decision. So how am I going to support myself in fully embracing this decision so that it works for me? So for some of you who are staying, who know you want to stay, but that constantly are questioning, my guess for most of you is that it's less about, did I make the wrong decision? And it's more about simply lacking the know-how and support to know how to really back up your decision, how to contain your decision from, protecting it from doubts, how to take full responsibility for it. Okay, that's really important. There are things that we are not taught. We don't learn these things in school. most of us are not modeled this stuff in our home lives, and we don't know. We think that if we made a decision, we should just feel better. And the reality is that making a decision is half the battle, sometimes not even half. There's so much more that needs to happen for us to really embrace our decision. It takes tremendous courage to not only make the decision, but to fully execute the decision, to go all in on it. All right, moment of truth. How many of you verbally say, I've made a decision, but internally are all over the place? That's your problem. Okay, that's your problem, is that you might have said outwardly, I'm staying, I'm going, but internally you're constantly doubting it. And so you're creating more of the same for yourself. You're just creating more of the same. Okay, it's not about the decision, it's about how you back it up. It's about taking responsibility, going all in on it. And you know what? Part of this is learning where maybe I didn't take the time to really make sure it was a wise decision. I jumped to it because it was the most comfortable decision, even if I'm very uncomfortable now, right? This looks like I'm just going to stay because I don't want my kids to have a family broken up, right? I understand that, and it's valid. I understand it. But I do recommend really looking at the whole situation and making sure that you're giving yourself full permission either way. Okay. All right. Let's move on to number 2. Myth number 2. Once a cheater, always a cheater. How many times have you heard that? How many of you have gone online for some kind of infidelity support and stumbled upon a Facebook group or an Instagram page or some online forum about what should I do with my cheating spouse? What should I do? And the advice is, so much of the time they're showing you who they are. You need to run. You need to get away. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Now, why is this problematic? It's problematic because we're putting people in a very black and white box without knowing anything else other than this action that they took. We know the action. We do not know this person, their background, their childhood, any trauma, any modeling that they got from their parents or other people. We do not know what kind of relationship you had prior to it. There's just so much missing information. There's so much missing information. And a fallacy of humans is that we tend to stick to black and white. Either somebody's good or they're bad, they're right, they're wrong, it's up or down, right? And part of your healing, part of your growing is learning a more nuanced view. Seeing that there are multiple truths at the same time that sometimes seem counter to each other, but they actually work with each other. Okay. This person did this thing that was really hurtful to me, and they are actually a really good person. Okay. That's one example. Sometimes it's this person did this thing, and while they have some qualities that I really admire, it is not somebody that I want to invest more into. The payout here of me investing more is not worth what I think we can have. Like for some of you, that's going to be your answer, is that you just don't want to invest what it would take to repair this relationship. That's entirely your right. Where I see this is people where it was very troubled to begin with, where the relationship was already very troubled, where there's not a lot of really great to go off of. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of trouble, and somebody just saying, I know I need to heal, I know I need to move forward from this, but it's not going to be with this person. Another place that I see this a lot is when people are looking at their partner or spouse and going, yeah, I wish that we could work through this, but I can see that I'm willing to put in way more than they are, and I'm not willing to continue carrying more than what is mine. That we're not equally matched in our commitment to create something here that is really amazing. Okay. So what is the counter to this? The truth is that people are far more complicated. That is the truth. People are very complicated. We have parts of us that are amazing and strong and capable and truthful and fierce and fun and funny. And we have parts of us that can be rotten, that can be dishonest, that can be unfair, that can be cruel. And part of the recovery from infidelity, part of growing our ability to be in solid, healthy relationships is in learning how to tame and put restraints and restrictions and limits on those parts of us that, if left unchecked, if there are no boundaries, could wreak some real havoc in our own lives and in the lives of others. And so this is where that statement, once a cheater, always a cheater, I think is very limited because it's a label, right? This is all this person is. And what I'm saying is that there's a part, yes, that person did do that. That person did do this thing. And there are all kinds of other parts too. So let's look at all the parts and see what we're actually working with here. Okay. All right. On to number 3. Myth number 3, it will always hurt. It will always hurt. It will always cast the shadow over my life, over my marriage, if you choose to stay, or over future relationships. It will always just be there. I understand why it feels that way right now. This thing came and blew up your life, right? It just blew up your life. It feels huge. It feels catastrophic. It feels like the biggest blow probably of your life. And it's hard to imagine that there might come a day when it won't always be there. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit. Okay, so I want you to think about somebody who has lost a loved one. In those first days, months, maybe even first years, the missing of that loved one is probably going to be hanging there most of the time. Most of the time. And for some people, they insist on it. They want to remember because there's stories that they're telling about if they don't think about that person constantly, like, oh, I'm terrible. I had a whole day where I didn't think about them. And so they might almost shame themselves into thinking about this person or feel like they're betraying them somehow if they don't. But for many people, what they find is that time goes by and they have moments, maybe it's just moments where they're laughing and where they're genuinely feeling something different than grief and sadness. And they can go, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could again. I didn't know. And part of their taking responsibility and choosing is moving forward and going, I'm going to choose to live my life again. I'm going to choose to feel. I'm going to choose to honor this person by living my best life, right? I'm going to choose this. And I can speak from my own experience a little bit here. As many of you know, my first husband passed away 7 months after we got divorced. Just 7 months. It was very, very raw, very fresh. I had just seen him a couple of days before. We had a nice interaction and he was just gone. He was gone. He died instantly in a car accident and there was no saying goodbye. There was none of that. He was just gone. And it was really, really hard. It was really hard. It pushed me and challenged me in ways that I did not expect. And I had people with their many opinions of saying, well, now you can really move forward. You don't have to do any of this anymore. You can just move forward. And it just did not feel that way to me. I was really, really sad. I was really sad that this person that I loved and cared about was gone and that I would never see him again in this lifetime. I was sad that my children would forever carry this loss that their dad died when they were children. I hated it for them. My kids, within a year's time, their parents got divorced and their dad died in 1 year's time. So much for them to process. And so at that time, it was really hard for me to imagine a day when it wouldn't hurt, where I wouldn't just feel sad about how things went down and all of the trauma, all of the really hard things that happened. And over time, what I have learned is this truth, and this truth that I want to pass on to you. When you are courageous and really facing the pain of a situation, really turning around and facing it and allowing yourself to feel it and address it and look at it and tell the truth of it, like really tell the truth of what that pain is meaning for you. really acknowledging it. I'm really, really sad about this. I'm really sad that I'm just going to throw out some examples, take it or leave it, depending on your situation. I'm really sad that we grew so far apart that the only way for me to wake up and see what our marriage is was for this disastrous thing to happen. I'm really sad that he chose to do this. I'm really sad. I'm mad, all the things, right? But part of our ability to do something beyond pain is first facing it head on, looking at it, feeling it, acknowledging it, looking at the story it has to tell us. What are we sad about? What are we angry about? Really acknowledging our pain. And after we do that, we can grow in our capacity to contain it, to put limits on it, to go, I've already felt that so much. I've already processed that so much. I think I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to acknowledge it and I'm going to practice something else. I'm going to let it pass by, right? And we can learn to contain it. We can put limits on it. We can put limits on the stories that we are allowing ourselves to believe and the places our brain is wanting to go. And when we learn to do this, what we're doing is we are allowing other parts of us to grow. We are allowing other parts of us that want to learn how to reframe a story into a way that is useful instead of painful can grow. We are learning how to develop relationships that feel healthy and strong, often with the person that did the betraying. And we're learning how to manage and metabolize the pain of what that person did when it rears its head, so that it doesn't sabotage the good things that are happening. And I can tell you from my own relationship with my current husband, we've had some really rough patches in our marriage. We've had some times that have been really, really challenging. And part of our healing has been learning some new ways of coping with our own emotions instead of the old patterns that we engaged in of kind of bailing out or keeping it quiet, not talking, just avoiding, things like that. And part of our really growing into safety, into really learning how to be there for each other and really learning how to hear each other and to create a safe space where he can say things to me that are hard to hear. And when I can do the same to him and know that he is still there, that he's not going to bail, that we are committed to each other. Part of that has been this process of learning how to contain certain stories, how to tell them in a way that's useful, how to work with our intense emotions when they come up, how to stay connected to somebody even when we're mad at them, even when they've hurt us, how to prioritize a relationship over protecting ourselves at all cost. Now, at first, after infidelity, there is a time where we really are so deeply wounded and we do need to protect ourselves. We do need to see, is this a person that is wise for me to continue in a relationship with? This is really, really important. I'm talking more when you're past that kind of triage, raw, really, really painful part where you are more settled into a decision or leaning into a decision, and you are looking at these patterns and going, okay, if we don't learn new ways of doing this, where are we going to wind up? And I can tell you again, from my experience in moving into a new relationship, those patterns, they come right along with you. The way you think, the way that you deal with stress, the way that you protect yourself when you feel attacked, those come right along with you. And often this is why we unwittingly create the same cycles for ourselves over and over and over again. It's because our brains are going to create the scenarios that they're familiar with. We have to learn a new way. We have to, in order to create a new relationship that is thriving and joyful and secure. Okay. So those are the three myths. Those are the three truths. Myth number one, if you decide, you should be good, right? That's myth number one. Truth to that is that it's not about deciding. It's about how you came to that decision, how you back it up, how you contain it and take full responsibility for it. Myth number two, once a cheater, always a cheater. Okay, the truth is that people are far more nuanced than that. and that our growth is in really looking at all of those pieces and making a decision from there. Myth number 3, it will always hurt. And the truth to number 3 is that we can face the pain and then learn how to work with it so that we can continue moving forward and have many moments when we are not hurting, when we're allowing all kinds of other emotions, where we are not letting shame sabotage us, where we can notice these things that hurt and work with them so that we can continue to create more of what we want. Okay. I hope that was helpful to you. Now, I've got to tell you, my program doors are open, and it's a great program. It's a wonderful program. And what I can tell you is it's about to get even better. The people in my program get amazing, amazing results. They are changing their lives. They are changing their relationships. They're changing the way they show up in the world, the way they react and respond to things. They're changing their relationships with themselves. And I am about to beef it up some more. There's some changes that I'm going to be making based on some needs that I see and areas that I want to go deeper on inside the program. And it's all about these things that there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut to learning how to be in a healthy relationship. There's no shortcut to that. Unless you want to go live in a cave for the rest of your life and just be isolated, there's no shortcut. We tend to be me against you. And a lot of the stuff out there is all about this toxic independence that you've heard me talk about, I'll look out for me, number one, and good luck to you, but I can take care of myself. This is so problematic. It's wreaking havoc in relationships. There is no room for two people in that framework. And what I teach, it's about first working with the individual. It's working with the individual to help them to really see themselves and see the meaning that they've attached to the infidelity, what they've made it mean about themselves, areas that they want to look at their patterns, look at their cycles and learn a new way, and then bring that into the relationship, whether they stay or go, to bring the strength and power into relationships, bring in the best of themselves, so that whether they stay with the person they're with or are with somebody else, they can bring their best selves to the game. This is what healing looks like. This is healing. There's no shortcut to this. I can tell you firsthand, there is no shortcut. We have to learn how to be in healthy relationships, how to slow down our responses, how to see the patterns that we're engaging in. What are the patterns our partner's engaging in, and how to break that, how to change it. There's no shortcut, okay? I invite you to come join us. You can come join us. If you're interested in talking with me, you can see my consult link on my website. You can find out lots of information about my program on my website. You can come to my free class that's coming up, where at the end of it, I'll be talking a little bit more about my program. You can register for that also on my website. The link will be in the show notes. AndreaGiles.com is the website. You can go to the Work With Me tab and go register for that. But the doors are open. It's an amazingly powerful group. And this is where we do this work. It's not just about healing. It's not just about making that decision to stay or go. It requires more. It requires more. And I want that for you, and am prepared to deliver that. All right. Take care. So good to be here with all of you. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.